Go ahead. Go ahead and roll in it.
Most part. Thanks. I did it this morning.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why did I choose Vanderbilt? I was actually going to another school. I was going to Lafayette, and I got in off the Vanderbilt wait list June 30th of my senior year. I got in. I was so excited. It was like the one school I really wanted to go to. I was originally on the waiting list, and I remember calling every week saying, I really want to come here, I really want to come here, and they eventually let me in. I don't know if they would have let me in if I wasn't so passionate about coming, and that kind of taught me a real important lesson. But I remember coming in and just walking around on campus and it just felt like home. And it still does today. Like, I love that warm Southern comfort that kind of comes with being in Nashville.
So a lot of students are familiar with Bare Naked, and how did you get into the granola business, and when did you realize it would be so successful?
I started out in 2002. I used to work in New York at Saturday Night Live, and I was on hiatus from that job during the summertime. I ran into an old friend of mine named Kelly, and she was making granola in the back of a local deli in our hometown. And I really didn't have anything to do that summer. And so I ran into her, and she says, yeah, I'm making granola. It's called Bare Naked. I was like, it's called what? It's called Bare Naked? What's that? Let me go check it out. And so I spent a little time with her in the kitchen, actually baking it at night, and spending time like mixing together oats and honey, and I thought it was really fun. And basically just said, can I help you more and more? And eventually I started baking it with her, and then I started selling it with her, and then I said, can I buy half the company? And she said, I would love you to, because it's been really fun working together, and we just started working at it. I think the reason that Bare Naked took off so quickly is we worked really, really hard. I mean, that was the foundation of it. And then from there, the whole company was, people think that you just need to put granola in a bag and sell it, or you just need a funky name to sell it. But it's all those different pieces lined up. We built the whole organization around the consumer. Every decision that I ever made about Bare Naked, whether it was in operations, whether it was in finance, whether it was in marketing, whether it was in sales, I always made it within the context of like, what would the consumer want? What would be, if the consumer was sitting right here next to us and we had to make this decision, would we make it any differently? And so we tried to build the whole organization and the whole business around the consumer, because ultimately that's all we had. We just had a relationship with consumers. And so we tried to stay true to that and try to make it as rich and as fun and as crazy and as, just a great experience. The biggest skill that you need in starting and running your business is to be able to sit there and assess what the biggest problems are, how to staff those problems, meaning who's going to solve them, and then how do you put resources against them. And that's pretty much what you do every day. It's almost like a triage unit. You have all these things that come in and say, this is wrong, this is right, we need to work on this, and then you have to prioritize all those different things and then make sure the best people are solving those problems. And that's a skill that I think, it's just an analytical skill set that you spend time problem solving, and you just realize what parts of the problem are going to get you closest to the answer. And you got to make sure you stay focused on those, because the little things tend to take care of themselves if you focus on the big ones. I think the biggest thing that helped me at Vanderbilt, and what I continue to be impressed about, is that there's so many just smart people with diverse backgrounds, and that's really effective in solving problems, because you have so many different perspectives on how to get from A to Z. It's not just one straight line answer. And at Vanderbilt, I studied economics, which is a very theoretical thing, and you see some of that translate to what you're doing in business every day, but more importantly, it's how are you going to work with people? Because ultimately, I need to convince the consumer to eat my product. I need to convince my manufacturer to make it for me. I need to convince my salesperson to sell it for me. I need to convince my bank to give me money. I need to convince my employees that what my greater vision is for Bare Naked is actually worth working for. So much of it's just being around and interacting with people and motivating them to go after the greater vision. And at Vanderbilt, it's a very social school and a lot of smart people, and so that skill set of just being around all different diverse types with diverse interests, I think really helped me out. I think one of the things that I realized on campus is that there were a lot of different classes that interest me, but they didn't give me everything that I wanted. And so I actually went to some of the professors at the Owen Graduate School of Management and did some independent studies with the MBA program. I was so interested in technology and marketing, those two things. So I found some professors that was interesting for them as well, and spent some time actually doing the case study work for the MBA students. And that looking back on it, I loved it. But the biggest thing it taught me is like, you can go learn about whatever you want, and you can go find that. And especially in a network like Vanderbilt, you just need to go out and work for it. And even if you have to build it yourself a little bit, I guarantee if you reach out and say, I really want to do this, that you can find some professors or other students that can help you get there. But it's just a matter of taking the time to say, I really want this, and working for it.
Do you have any advice for students?
The biggest advice, I mean, so many of the first jobs that you're going to go work in, it's not necessarily about figuring out what you want to do, and that's part of the learning process in your first jobs. It's also figuring out what kind of culture you want to be a part of. Do you want to be a part of an organization that is really good in teaching you different skills? Do you want to be a part of an organization that gives you a lot of responsibility without a lot of guidance? Because where you spend your time every day and who you spend your time with, I think is equally as important as what you're actually doing. So for me, bare naked, like granola, not the coolest thing in the world, probably the thing that I thought I was going to be doing. I never had any real interest in being in the food business, but being around a group of people that was all focused on building a healthy lifestyle brand, and then the way we ran our business, we were very supportive. We wanted our employees to take risks. We wanted our employees to take a lot of responsibility. That was something that was really exciting to me. I wanted to walk into an office every day where there's like a buzz of energy. And you walk into some offices and they're very kind of mild and maybe not quite as energetic, and that's totally cool for some folks. But for me, I wanted a really high energy place. And so I think it's important for students to go out and check out a lot of different, not only industries, but also different environments. It's not just important what type of business that you're doing, but how they're doing that business. And I think both are important in making a decision and actually ultimately finding what's going to make you happy in your professional life. For me, when I was looking at jobs, I was an athlete in high school. I loved to compete. I liked to win. I liked to play games. And I liked all those things because I was really passionate about it. It was so fun to me. I wanted to have a good time in what I was doing. And I think it's really important that people go have fun. They deserve it. And a lot of people sacrifice saying, well, I need to have this job that gives me this salary so that I can have this type of house, even though I'm not having a good time for 10 hours a day. I mean, that's like golden handcuffs. That's not worth it. And so I think people ultimately always learn that lesson. It's just a matter of when you learn that lesson. And for me, I was lucky enough to kind of realize that pretty early and realize that, I want to go into an office every day that I love. I want to go work on something that I believe in. I want to go spend time with people I actually enjoy. Like I could go have beers with them after work, or I can also sit in a meeting and do financial analysis with them. But regardless, we're just hanging out together and it's fun. So having that, those shared passions with people that you work with, and then passion with what you're ultimately trying to attain, I think is so important for just being happy in what you do. It's always amazing to kind of see where everybody ended up in such diverse backgrounds. I have friends on Wall Street, I have friends that work in the art world, I have friends that work in consulting. And that network, what you realize, and I wasn't really good at this coming out of school, but consistently working to build that network and harvest that network and maintain it is so critical, because ultimately you're going to be faced with problems you don't know how to solve, and your ability to solve them is based upon how powerful your network is. Because I guarantee the answer is in there somewhere. It's just a matter of have you maintained it, have you, treated it right, have you tried to grow it over time. What else? What else could we tell Vanderbilt students? Go Doors. Go have fun. I mean, don't get too tied up in what your major is or what classes you're taking. Go take the time now to go, I don't want to say go sow your oats, but go sow your oats academically and thoughtfully about what you think is interesting and not. Go taste as many things as you can taste. Go try as many things as you can try. Because all that's going to do is help you understand what you don't like and what you do like. And the only way you get to what you do like is by knowing that the grass isn't greener on the other side.